Hey, this is Ryan from Rocket SaaS, and you're listening to the SaaS Marketing Weekly podcast, the show that gives you actionable marketing strategies and campaign ideas to rocket your SaaS business. And if you want even more SaaS marketing ideas, go to saasmarketingweekly.com to join my free newsletter. Hi there, welcome back to another episode of SaaS Marketing Weekly with me, your host Ryan, the founder of Rocket SaaS. And today we're going to be going through the 10 must-have features for a high-converting website. Now, as I'm sure you already know, your website is your keystone to your whole marketing and lead gen. You could have fantastic top-of-funnel blogs and videos and guides. You could even have really good middle-of-funnel case studies. You could even have really good bottom-of-the-funnel landing pages. But if your website sucks because it doesn't have good enough messaging, strong enough calls to action, if it doesn't connect emotionally with your audience and tell the right story about your brand, if it's not got the right lead magnets, interactive elements to it, then you are either going to be getting no leads or you are going to be massively leaking leads. So I'm going to go through the 10 must-have things that you can implement into your website to get more conversions. And all of these things you can do on your own or maybe with a little bit of external support from people like Fiverr or Upwork. But this advice is not going to be to like redesign, rebuild the whole thing, pay an agency tens of thousands of pounds. You can mostly do this stuff yourself. Or if you are thinking of having a whole new website, these are the things that should be included within the brief. Right, without further ado, let's get into the 10 must-have things you must have on the website. So some of these are going to be SaaS specific. Some of them are just general advice for any website. But the first one is SaaS specific, and that is to have animated GIFs to showcase your product. I've talked about this a few times on the pod already. One of the most common mistakes that I see on SaaS websites is the imagery of the product. Let's say the dashboard or one of the features of the product. They often look terrible. Usually what I see is companies just take a screenshot of their actual software and just copy and paste it onto their website. This often does more harm than good because the website screenshot is going to be so small. If it's taking up, say, half of the web page at most, you're not really going to be able to see what's going on. You'll find yourself like leaning forward so your nose is almost touching the monitor to actually try and make out, what is that software saying? What does that font say? Is that a menu I can see? I'm confused. And you do not want to confuse your website visitors. You confuse, you lose. You don't want them to look at your software on your website and go, oh, that looks a bit confusing. That looks complicated. I don't really understand this software. I'm not sure about this. So the solution is to take those screenshots of your dashboard and some of your leading features, just the best pages of your product, and then give it to a designer. Give them a brief to say, I want you to give the UI a bit of a lift for the website. Don't totally redesign the UI so it looks like a completely different product. Just give it a facelift. And what I mean is stripping out some of the unnecessary detail. So if your dashboard is displaying like 25 different metrics and a really long menu item on the left-hand side, just simplify it. Strip it down so it only shows the most powerful 3 statistics, for example, only has like 4 or 5 menu items on the left. And also increase the font size, make sure it's actually readable. And then bonus points, you can animate it. So you can create a 10-second looping animated GIF of the mouse cursor moving around, clicking on things, little animations start happening as you start dragging boxes around, or maybe you input some information and it creates a graph. You can hire someone on Fiverr or Upwork to make that animation come to life. And that is an awesome way to showcase your SaaS on your website. Go to slack.com and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. They are the kings of doing it. They've been doing it for a couple of years now, and it's brilliant. So if you imagine what the actual Slack software looks like, then go onto slack.com website, you'll see the difference and you'll see how powerful it is. So that is my first piece of advice. Number 2 is kind of similar to number 1, but number 2 is interactive demos. So you may have seen these before. I describe it as kind of like a slideshow of your product. So let's say you want to take 10 slides of your product. Imagine putting it in a PowerPoint presentation where you just flick through each slide and have that on the website. But it's also a little bit more interactive than just flicking through a slideshow, sort of carousel style. What you have is those tooltips. So you're like guiding the user on where to click. So you might say, click this plus button to add a new whatever, or click this button here to see your data analytics. So it's like you're holding the user's hand and you're guiding them through the software. They're not allowed to click wherever they want. They're clicking exactly where you want them to click, which is really beneficial because you can guide them to make sure that they're seeing the features that you want them to see. One of the reasons why this is so powerful is because I meet a lot of software companies and they say to me, people love our product when they see it. When we get them on a demo, they love it. And I always say to them, okay, well, we need to get that feeling of love to be higher up the funnel. We need people to see it, use it, and love it without having to jump on a call with you, because that is obviously a huge hurdle. So one way of doing that is adding an interactive demo on the website to let people have a restricted, limited play with it to make them think, oh, wow, this is pretty cool. I could do with this. And then at the end, when they get to the final slide, you get a pop-up that says something like, I hope you enjoyed that quick 60-second tour. If you'd like to have a proper demo where we dive into everything in a lot more detail and we answer any questions you may have about the product, click here to book a demo. So it can be a really awesome lead magnet as well. So I highly recommend you checking out that. Story Lane is one of the biggest players in the space. It's certainly one of the lowest cost solutions out there. There's even a free version that's pretty good. And there's plenty of other ones that are more expensive, but I'd start with Story Lane, particularly if you're on a low budget. All right, moving on to number 3, the ROI calculator. It's an all-time classic, but most SaaS companies I meet don't have one, but they really want one. That's one of the things that me and my agency create for our clients, is always an ROI calculator quite early on in the relationship. And it makes total sense. Any decent SaaS product should get its customer an ROI. What you find with most SaaS products, probably your one, is that it's saving people manual time and manual processes. Maybe they're currently using Excel and email and Microsoft Word or even pen and paper to just like run their business or their processes. Whereas you've got this SaaS platform that just saves all of that time, digitalizes everything. So you need to be quite clever about how you make this ROI calculator if that is the case, if you're exchanging time for money. So you need to ask questions like, how much time are you spending per week on this task? How many employees do you have performing this task? If you feel that your software can replace other software, you say, how much subscription are you paying for the other softwares? And then you usually have to do a little bit of guesswork. So you might have to guess what's the average hourly wage of someone in the industry that's performing that task and make a few other presumptions. And then when they get onto the results page, it shows them the result of, we've calculated that you spend roughly 120 hours per week on this task, which is industry average is £17 an hour. Therefore, with our software that only costs £150 a month, you're going to be saving this much. And you obviously have to put a massive asterisk next to it if you are using guesswork like that. But to make it clear, this is not a quotation, this is an estimation. Book a call with us to discuss more. And that can be extremely eye-opening to people. You know, one of the biggest reservations of getting a new software is obviously the cost. Do I have the budget for that? Oh, I'm not sure. But when you present it to them like this, is no, you're going to get a return on investment. This is going to cost you negative money. And suddenly the decision becomes quite easy for them to make. They can present it to their board and then you're away. Another really good ROI calculator that I built recently for a client of mine is basically a competitor comparison campaign ROI calculator. So they have a competitor, there's a big boy in the space, and they're very expensive. And my client quite simply says, we can undercut their pricing by 25%. So we created an ROI calculator that is a direct competitor comparison campaign. It's got the competitor's logo at the top, and you enter a field at the top that says, how much are you paying for your annual subscription with this competitor? So you enter it in there. We ask a few more questions just to get a better understanding of where they're at. You press submit, and then it's just a very, very simple piece of maths. It just takes the number that they inputted that they pay the competitor minus 25%, and we say you can save X amount per year with us. And then we've got a little sub-line underneath that says over 5 years, this equals X, and it's a huge number. Because most SaaS software, particularly this one, is very sticky. We know that clients are going to be with us for at least 5 years. So you take the annual saving, multiply it by 5, and it becomes a very impressive number. So yeah, they can also be used if you want to be going after competitors that are more expensive than you. And then you can obviously run competitor keyword ads on Google. You can try and target some of their competitors on LinkedIn and just drive traffic to this ROI calculator. It can work extremely well. All right, let's crack on. Next point, number 4, a problem statement to emotionally connect with your visitors. I often see this missing on a lot of SaaS websites. I go onto a SaaS website homepage and it's just you talking about yourself and your product and how good you are. What I want to see is you talking to me about my problems. I want to see a section quite high up on the homepage that says something along the lines of, are you suffering from these problems? And then you have like 3 to 5 icons that talks about the problems that I've got in my business. For example, still using pen and paper to manually log tasks, getting frustrated with all the mistakes and the missing data, or multiple departments that are siloed and not working together, those sorts of things. And what you're doing with that type of content is that you are emotionally connecting with the visitor. If you just start talking about yourself, the visitor's going through the site and just kind of glazing their eyes over because it's just the same stuff you hear from everybody else. Instead, if you start talking to them about their problems that's keeping them up at night, that's really frustrating them, and you just start throwing that in their face with icons, making it very clear that we understand you, we get your problems, that's why we built this product. Suddenly, the visitor starts reading it going, yeah, that's me. Some of them even start laughing at the screen, like, yeah, oh, yeah, that's definitely me. I've definitely got those problems. You've hit the nail on the head there. And that's a really amazing emotional state to get the visitor in. They're halfway to booking a demo if you've got them feeling like that. So I highly recommend that. Number 5 is a clear and insightful book a demo page. This is a big problem I see with a lot of SaaS companies. They might just have a book a demo button and then it just loads up a new page with a form and nothing else. And I always say, well, why have you not even put any words next to it? Why have you just put a form? I think, oh, well, they've already clicked book a demo. You know, the job is done. Just fill out the form. It's like, no, just because they clicked on book a demo does not mean they're going to book a demo. Just look at your Google Analytics. You'll probably have a very large percentage of people coming onto the book a demo page, but not actually converting. The book a demo page is a key page to finally convince someone to push them over the line to fill out that damn form. So you need to have content that clearly outlines in 3 to 5 bullet points, this is what you will learn on the demo. This is what we're going to show you. I'd like to see a nice photograph of someone that would be running the demo. A nice smiley looking, friendly, happy person that you would be delighted to have a call with, as opposed to just not seeing anyone and just, you're not getting that emotional connection. Testimonials work really well on the book a demo page. Any kind of social proof is really good to just push people over the line. Also, how long will the demo be? It's one of the, particularly if you've got a short demo, that's one of the reservations is that, oh God, I've got to sit on a call for 90 minutes or 60 minutes. No thanks. But if you can get it done in 30 minutes, then if you say that on the page, that will help with conversions. And then finally, a calendar embed. Don't ask people to fill out a form that's long and then they've got to come back to you to book a time and you'll just be leaking leads. Get a calendar embed on there from something like Calendly or HubSpot. If you've got multiple salespeople, you can use tools like Calendly to share a calendar together so it can be booked. But that is proven to increase conversions. Moving on, number 6, competitor comparison page. Very important, mostly for driving Google ad traffic and some LinkedIn ad traffic. It's more of a landing page. But if you do have a big competitor and you know you're better than them, you're more cost effective, you've got better features, better customer service, you need to be saying this. To have a page which is you versus them, which clearly outlines the features that you have and the features that they don't have. I won't dwell on this point too much because if you go back to episode 5 of SaaS Marketing Weekly, titled How to Steal Clients from Competitors, that goes through all of the details of how you can create a great competitor comparison page and also a whole campaign around it. So let's move on to number 7, which is an ungated pricing page. If, like me, you're a big believer in demand generation, then I'm afraid you have to ungate your pricing. You as a buyer of whatever you buy, I'm sure you've come across this before, it's very frustrating when you go onto a pricing page and you don't see actual pricing. And you may have even gone to a competitor's site and you've seen that they've got pricing and you've been quite satisfied with their pricing, so you've booked a call with them. And that's how it works. So consider ungating your pricing. Build out that demand generation model of creating great content so people can learn about you on their own and they will come to you when they're ready to buy. Gating things like pricing pages is just trying to force and shoehorn your way in there, which is often not the way it goes. You will shoehorn your way in there with a few people, but if you open everything up and work on this demand generation model, you will get net positive a ton more sales. So it might be scary and you've got to build it into a demand gen model, but that's what I recommend. Number 8 is a resources hub. So a lot of SaaS websites have like a blog with a few blog articles. You want to start building out a hub. If you've got a content hub full of webinars, industry reports, how-to guides, videos, podcasts like this one, and you just build that up every single week or month, you're just going to be spreading your brand everywhere. People are going to know you, like you, trust you. They'll be able to consume tons of your content. You ever heard of that Google rule, the 7-11-4 rule that Google came up with? That somebody must spend 7 hours consuming your content over 11 different touch points over 4 different platforms. That's what you need to get to for people to buy. So you think about my business, Rocket SaaS, you're currently consuming this podcast. You may have listened to a few others already. You may be subscribed to my email newsletter, SaaS Marketing Weekly. You've probably seen me on LinkedIn if you're on there. You've probably been onto our website. You may have read some of our blogs. You may have attended some of our webinars. You may have seen us on not just LinkedIn, but also Facebook and Instagram. And all of that content and all of those touch points and interactions is just adding up and adding up and adding up of our target audience, learning about us, learning about our expertise, having that feeling of, oh, I know this brand. I like this brand. Therefore, I trust this brand. Therefore, I want to work with them. I'm going to have a call with them. That's how it works. And that's what you need to be doing too, is creating a lot of different forms of content, learning what works, and just building up this resources hub on your website that will allow people to consume as much of your thought, leadership, insight, and product information as possible. And you will get a really awesome marketing funnel happening. All right, number 9, we are nearly there. Number 9 is landing pages for ad traffic. May seem like an obvious one to some of you, but I do meet a lot of SaaS companies that have ads running, but they're not running to specific dedicated landing pages. They're either driving traffic only to the homepage, or maybe they've just got like one landing page, which is kind of general. If that is the case and you are spending money on ads and you are leaking leads, you want to be building out different landing pages for each use case. It could be a different landing page for each industry, each job title, maybe each pain point, even landing pages possibly for each feature. And you want to speak to that particular demographic of person. You want your landing page to appear as though your product was purposely built for them. So maybe your software might target a few different industries, but let's say one of the industries is construction. So you create some ads that have got images of construction people or construction products. You've got the headline that uses the word construction in it. You obviously target those ads only to construction people that you're trying to target. And then when they click on the ad, they come onto your website, which is a landing page, which again has got construction photography on it, construction in the headlines, construction throughout the copy, talking about the unique pain points that construction companies feel. So they are coming onto the site and they think, oh, wow, this was purpose built for me, purpose built for construction companies. Right, brilliant. These are the sorts of experts that I need, as opposed to them coming onto your homepage and going, okay, yeah, they sort of do, I think what I need for like, it's a bit of for everybody. Not sure if they're going to be experts in my space. I might shop around a little bit more. So you can see the difference in attitude. Just build out these landing pages and your ads will perform so much better. And the final one, I'm going to say it 3 times, case studies, case studies, case studies. You know you should be having case studies. You know that they're important, but I wouldn't be surprised if you've not got enough. It's one of those things that's always at the bottom of the list. You never have time to get it done, but I don't know why that is, because they are so important. You are in the game of trust. People come onto your site, they check out your brand, and they have to trust you. They're going to invest their hard-earned money in you and maybe rip up their existing system to go with you. They have to trust you. There's a lot of cowboys in your space. People have been stung before. They have to feel comfortable and safe that you're a good option for them. I'm sure you can convince them when you're on a call with them, but my job is to convince them before they get on the call. So case studies are a great way to do that. So whether it's your customer services team or it's you yourself or the founder of the business, make a list of all of your customers. Even if they're not your current customers, it could be your past customers. Make a list of all of them, get them in a spreadsheet, think, okay, which ones were particularly happy? Which ones do I think could give us a really good case study testimonial? And then start reaching out to them. Don't be shy. The worst that can happen is they'll just not reply. But just explain to them that it really helps you grow your business. If you can return the favor in any way, they can just ask. And it's key to encourage them that it's not going to be that long or labor intensive. I suggest you ask them to jump on a 15-minute call where you're going to interview them, ask them a bunch of questions about how they feel about working with you, and then you'll just take it from there. Get a call recorder on there, transcribe the whole call, and then turn it into a case study, extract some of the quotes that they've said, which will be testimonials. If the client's up for it, record the interview so that you can use those snippets as videos on LinkedIn. They're really awesome. And that's a great way of getting a testimonial. If they have reservations about even doing that, because nobody likes to jump on additional calls, you could say, how about I just write the case study for you and you sign it off? And most people just say yes. And that's also good because you can write it exactly how you want to write it. So yeah, they are super, super important. Okay, so that is it. A quick recap of the 10 things that I suggested there. Number 1 is creating custom graphics and animations of your software. 2, creating an interactive demo. 3, ROI calculator. 4, a problem statement to emotionally connect with your audience. Number 5 is an insightful book a demo page. 6, competitor comparison pages. 7, transparent ungated pricing. 8, a comprehensive resources hub. 9, optimized landing pages for ad traffic. And 10 was case studies. So go through your website, go through those 10 things, tick off the ones that you do have, the ones that you don't have. If you don't have any, then your website's in a terrible state. If you've got a few, then there's room for improvement. If you've got all 10, I'm impressed. So good luck, get to work. If you need support from a design sort of copywriting point of view, you can outsource to people from Fiverr or Upwork. And if you get all of those things done and then work on driving traffic, you are going to get leads. So best of luck. And if you want any more SaaS marketing tips in your inbox, go to saasmarketingweekly.com. Subscribe to my weekly newsletter every Thursday morning. I send out a newsletter kind of similar to this, giving hints, tips, strategies on how to scale your SaaS business with amazing marketing. So hopefully I'll see you there. If not, I'll see you next week on SaaS Marketing Weekly, the podcast.